In this video, we will create a projectile for our main character to shoot, and we will program the projectile as well. I'm going to go to level 1. I'm going to insert a new object. It will be a sprite, and I'll name it projectile. I'm going to place it in my layout. You're going to see that this actually is not the best practice, and you'll see why. Here is my projectile with the animation selected. I think I'll place 6 frames per second and loop this. I'll check my bounding box and set it to the 4 corners and delete the last one. I'll apply this to the whole animation, and at this point I think our projectile is good. When I launch my game, you're going to see the projectile on screen. This isn't where we really want it, so I'm going to drag it off screen, and we will program an event that causes our main character to spawn this object into the game, rather than have it start on screen. With the projectile selected, we will go to behaviors, and we will add a behavior. What we want to do is add a style of movement. Bullet is the option that makes the most sense. Move an object ahead at its current angle, and it's typically used, as it says, for bullets and projectiles. That's enough. Some of the variables that we can change are the speed, acceleration. Gravity is probably one that I will adjust. Bounce off solids, set angle, step, as well as to enable this or disable this. Currently, we'll keep the gravity at 0, and we'll keep the speed at 400. In our event sheet, we will begin the programming. In my group Character Controls, I have a section called Projectile Controls. Let's add an event. The first event that we will create will be the event that causes the fireball to be fired. To start that, we will select a keyboard event, and we will use the on key pressed option. Click to choose, and I will set it to be the spacebar. Choose what you will. When the spacebar is pressed, we'll add an action, and that will be our main character spawning another object. That object will be the projectile that we inserted. I'm going to leave layers and image points at their default. I have a feeling we'll need to change both. We would like this to be spawned in on our main layer, so that should actually be layer 1. Let's immediately change that to layer 1. The image point 0 is our character's origin. For the purpose of this, I'm going to leave the spawning point at my character's origin. When I hit space, we see that our fireball is spawned from our character's origin. Its rotation is a bit slow, so I might go into my project and play this at maybe 9 frames per second and see if that spins a little bit faster. It is moving a bit faster in its rotation, its animated rotation. This continues to work until my character faces to the left. At this point, we would like the fireball to be created and go to the left. So let's add an event, and let's say when the main character, we're looking for is mirrored, we will go to the projectile, and in the bullet section, we will set its angle of motion. Firing to the right is 0 degrees. Firing straight up would be 90 degrees. Firing to the left is 180 degrees. While this looks correct, there's going to be an issue that is created. My fireball fires correctly, but another fireball has just appeared. You'll notice that when my character is mirrored, the fireball's angle of motion is being changed, which is exactly what we have programmed. Instead, this line of code should be a sub-event of the initial creation event. So when we press space, it will run this check and it will set the angle of motion, but it will not be affected if the character is mirrored at a later time. It is working as we intended it to work at this point. You'll notice that I also set some global variables, one being ammo amount equaling 4. What I would like to do is set a limit on how many projectiles I can create. So I will select the keyboard event, right-click, and add another condition. In my system events, I'm going to add a comparison for my global variable ammo amount. If my ammo amount is less than or equal to 0, I want this to happen, so actually it's going to need to be if it's greater than or equal to 1. We do want it to work when it is 1, so that will be the greater, or I should say that will be equal to, and then anything greater than 1 will also work. I should be able to fire 1, 2, 3, 4, and that did not limit. That's because we're not subtracting from our ammo amount. Sorry folks, it took me a minute there. What we need to do is every time we create a fireball, we need to subtract from our ammo amount global variable, and we will subtract 1. Now this should work as I intended. We fire 1, 2, 3, 4, and now when I am pressing space, it will not fire any more of my projectiles because we have reached the limit.